Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about HTML forms. We will understand how to create forms and also we will understand why we have to use forms inside our website. Okay, now here I have just opened this paint. Okay, now form is nothing but it will be acting as a container for all the input fields. Okay, now input fields are nothing but if the user is entering some data, whatever data the user enters, that data will be sent to the server. Okay, now here this is the form. Suppose imagine this is my form and inside this I'll be having many input fields. Okay, maybe this will be for my name, this will be for email, this will be for phone and this will be for address, and below that I will be having one submit button. Okay, now user enters all the data here. Suppose now user enters some data here. Again inside this field user enters some data, then again user enters some data inside this field. Okay, in all the fields user is entering some data. Now this all the fields user has entered some data inside the form. Now here this is our submit button. Let me just write here submit button. Okay, here we will be having one submit button and inside this, okay, now this is nothing but this is my submit button. Now this user has entered all this data. Whenever user click on this submit button, whenever user click on this, okay, the data will be sent to the server. Okay, inside this server, whatever data we are having here, this entire thing, that data will be stored inside this server. Okay, inside this server the data will be stored, and whenever you need this information you can directly send request to the server, then server will process the data and the data will be sent to you. Okay, this is how forms are very useful whenever you want to send any feedback or if you want to complain anything. Okay, if you want to contact with anyone, so forms are very useful in our website. Okay, if you are making website, then at least one form you should be having in your website so that the users visiting your website, they will be able to contact you. Okay, they will be able to send the issues or they will be able to send the feedback to improve your website. So form is very useful. Okay, nowadays forms are used in each and every website, so you should know how to use forms, how many input fields are there, how many types are there inside the form, why we have to use submit button, everything we are going to understand now. Okay, now as I told you, form is nothing but it is one container. Inside that all input fields will be stored, and here whenever we click on submit button, whatever data is entered inside the input field, that will be sent to the server here. Now here I'm just going to create one form. Okay, form tag. Okay, we have already seen about semantic elements. By the name itself we can understand, yes, we are going to create form. Okay, this is nothing but form, and inside that we will be having input tags. Now inside this input, by default it will be having type is equal to text. Type is equal to text is nothing but we can input any text. Okay, we can input our name, we can input our address. Okay, we can give that kind of inputs. Okay, text inputs. I'll save this. I'll just copy this path, and here I'm just going to paste that one. Okay, now you can see here I'm having one input field. Okay, now inside this I can just write characters. This will allow me to write numbers as well. Okay, but while doing validation, these types are very useful. Okay, now here I'm having this type is equal to text. We are having plenty of types that we are going to see in separate video, but this is how forms are very useful. And also let me just write here input. I'll just write here input, and for this type is equal to submit. I'll save this. I'll refresh this one. Now you can see it is going to give me the submit button here. Okay, without giving button, let me just write here button, and inside this button I'm just going to write here submit. I'll save this. I'll refresh this one. Okay, this is the normal button. The second button is the normal one, but this is the button which we'll be using inside the form. Okay, because we have given the type is equal to submit, and if you are aware of PHP, we will be writing whenever we click on submit button, only then the data will be inserted inside the server. Whenever we are using forms, we will be using this input field. Okay, you can use button as well, and for this you can just give type is equal to submit. Okay, whatever you want you can just write that one. Let me just comment this one. And also whenever you are using form, we are having this label tag, and inside this label I can just write here name. Okay, this is for name, and let me just write here another one, and for this I'm just going to write here label, and here I'm just going to write here address. I'll save this. I'll refresh this one. Now you can see for this input field it is going to give me this, okay, this label. Again for this input field it is going to give me this label. Now if you notice here, this input elements are inline elements because they are taking only whatever space they required, only that particular space they are taking, and also this label is inline element. They are taking only the space it is required. Okay, they are not block level elements. Okay, you can give basic stylings for that and you can make them block level element. As of now I'm just going to give here break tag. I'll just write here break. I'll save this. Now if I refresh this, you can see here I am having some spaces. Okay, if you want, let me just give another break here so that I will get some spacing. I'll refresh this. Okay, now this is my output. Okay, but you are not going to give break tags. Using stylings, we are going to make this input elements as block level elements, and then we will be making our form. Okay, you should not do like this. Only for better understanding I have done. Okay, this is how we are going to create. Okay, this is the basic form. I can just enter my name here. I can just enter my name, then I can just enter the address, and whenever I click on submit, the data will be sent to server. If you have written any backend programming language like PHP, then whatever you have written, that data will be sent to server. Okay, this entire data will be stored inside the databases. Okay, whatever information is stored, we can just fetch the information from the database and we can display that data inside our website. Okay, and also inside this label, we will be having one for attribute, and inside this, let me just write here name, username. Okay, username, and inside this input field I just have to give the ID, and whatever for I have given here, the same name I have to give here. Okay, because this is going to bind this one. Okay, this entire thing will be bind. I'll just come here, I'll refresh this one. There is not much effect, but if you give here for attribute, then ID whatever you are giving here, this and this should be matching. Okay, you should always take care of this. If you give this for inside input field, whichever, okay, for whichever input field we have given this label, for that we have to give the same ID. This input element we can display in many forms, like because we are having multiple types, we are having email, we are having radio buttons, we are having checkbox, everything we are going to study when we study about this type attribute. We are having plenty and plenty of options. Okay, for color we are having, for date we are having, let me just write here color. I'll save this. I'll refresh this one. Now you can say I got this color, and from this I can choose any color. Okay, this is also very useful. We are having many types. We are going to see that later. As of now, we have seen only about text and type is equal to submit. We have seen these two types. Then we have seen about this label element, and inside that we will be having for attribute, and inside input fields we have given this ID. If you are sending data inside the server, then we have to use this name attribute, and inside that you can give any name. Okay, now this name whatever you are giving here, whenever you are sending the data inside the server, okay, you should pass this name. Okay, this is all about this name attribute, and also we are having this value attribute, and inside this let me just write here Khanam. I'll save this. Now you can see here without refreshing, I don't have any data inside this input field. Now as soon as I refresh this, I will be getting one value here. Okay, that is nothing but Khanam. Okay, this will be the default value. Now if I just write here Sanya, I'll save this. I'll refresh this one. Now you can see I will be getting this default value. Okay, this default values will also be very useful whenever you want to add some pagination. If you want to give the default value as the first page, you can give this one. Okay, these values are very, very useful. Okay, inside input fields we are having name attribute, we are having value attribute, we are having ID. If you want, you can give ID. Whenever you are giving for, you can give this ID. Okay, then inside label we are having this for attribute. Now inside form we are having this action attribute, and inside action, whenever I click on submit button, where my data should be sent. Now here let me just create one file. I'll be writing here data.php. Now this file I am just going to create here. Okay, let me just write here data.html, because PHP we are not using here. I'll be writing here data.php. Let me just write here HTML, data.html. Now inside this I'm just going to write one h1 data sent. Okay, like this we are not going to do, but as of now I'm just doing this one. I'll just come here, I'll refresh this. Now whenever I click on submit button, you can see I am redirected to data.html, and username is equal to Sanya I am getting, because you can see my default value is Sanya here. So whenever I click on submit, inside this URL the data is been sent. Now inside this form we are having another attribute, that is nothing but method. Method is equal to post. Okay, we are having two types of methods, post and get. I'll just come back. I'll refresh this one. Now whenever I click on submit, you can see now inside URL I am not getting Sanya name. Okay, you can see here by default I am not having any data, because I have passed the method as post. Okay, post will be very secure. Whenever we are sending any kind of data to the server, post method is very useful. Whenever you are passing any sensitive data like your password, email address, then you can use post method here. Okay, if I just write here get, I'll save this. I'll come here. I'll refresh this one. Now when I click on submit, you can see inside URL I'm having this username is equal to Sanya. Okay, for bookmarks, get method you can use if you just want to bookmark that one, or else you should not use get method for passing sensitive data to the server. Okay, we should always use post method. Okay, inside this form we are having this action attribute, we are having this method attribute. Action attribute will tell whenever I click on submit button, the data will be sent, okay, to this file. If I don't give this action attribute, by default it will be processed inside the same file. I'll save this, I'll refresh this one. Now whenever I click on this, you can see inside the same file the data is been processed and I got this output. Okay, this is how we are going to perform these actions. If you are aware of little bit of PHP, or if you don't know, then also no problem. Okay, but this is how we are going to use forms. Okay, using this input field we can display multiple data, and using this one, okay, now whenever I click on submit button, whatever action I have given here, it will be processed inside that one and the data will be sent to this file. Okay, but when we are using PHP, we will not send the data to other files, we will be sending the data to the server, and from server we can process the data. Okay, and also we are having this one, and inside this we can just give here target is equal to blank. I'll save this. Now this is going to open in the new file. I'll refresh this one. Now let me just remove this action, I'll just remove. I'll save this, I'll refresh this one. Now whenever I click on submit, you can see it has opened a new tab here. Okay, it has opened a new tab, and inside the new tab I got this output. Okay, because I have given here target is equal to blank, which means that the data, the file will be opened in another tab. If I am writing here self, okay, by default it will be self, so you don't have to worry. I'll just close this, I'll refresh this one. Now whenever I click on this, you can see in the same file I am getting this output. Let me just remove this. Now when I click on submit, you can see in the same form I am getting this output. I'll enter. Now if I just write here blank, I'll save this, I'll refresh this one. Now when I click on submit, you can see the new tab is been opened. Okay, this is how we are going to use target attribute. Now if I just write here action is equal to data.html, let me just write like this. I'll refresh this. Now whenever I click on this, you can see inside this I am having this data.html, and here I am having this output. Okay, this is all about the basic structure of form. Okay, now we will be studying more about forms. Okay, we are going to see different values for type attribute. We will understand what are form elements. We are going to see everything about forms one by one. Okay, that's all for today's tutorial. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.